All right, looks like we have a lot of people joining us today. Good evening, people of tech. Welcome to this week's edition of Tech Kwentuhan by DevCon Davao. I'm Arnel Sargento, glad to be back as your host for tonight's session. We're thrilled to see so many passionate individuals here ready to delve into the exciting realm of blockchain technology and smart contracts. Also, we have exciting news for our participants. Share this event on your social media and stand a chance to win 100 Arch tokens. Also, be sure to engage during the event for your chance to win. So, to qualify for the raffle draw, you have to number one, share the announcement post by DevCon Davao in your Facebook account. And number two, actively engage in this session. Is that all good with anyone? Is that is that all clear? If everything's fine, then let me see some heart reacts in our meeting. Okay, so tonight we are honored to have a visionary in the blockchain community. With over 19 years of experience in full stack development and a significant footprint in the Web3 space, he has been at the forefront of developing decentralized applications on various blockchain platforms, including EOS, Ethereum, and Cosmos. His expertise in leveraging CosmWasm for scalable dApps and his innovative approach to developer incentivization are truly commendable. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the talented tech superstar all the way from Jamaica. Give it up for Adrian Thompson. The stage is yours.
Hi, Arnold. Thanks a lot for that introduction. Let me share my screen. Let me share the presentation. Let me know if you're able to see the slideshow. I'm no longer able. Okay, great. All right, so today I'll be going over Archway, the blockchain, and we consider Archway to be the value capture engine. And you'll understand why this is so as I go through the presentation. So, quick disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed in these presentations are mine, and they do not represent that of the Archway Foundation or Fire Labs, which is my employer. So, a quick look at my journey into the blockchain space. So, all right, my name is Adrian Thompson. I am a full stack engineer by profession, but for the last 3 years, I've been operating as a developer relations engineer in two different blockchains. I started at SwiftChain and now I'm at Fire Labs, and Fire Labs is the core contributor to the Archway blockchain protocol. But my early beginnings was in web development, and then I moved into, that was with a small boutique web shop. And then I moved into media and communication and then the public sector for 7 years. And then I made a transition into the financial sector, building financial applications. And that really got me into thinking about building out financial apps that could scale. And then I made the journey overseas because I'm from Jamaica. I made the journey overseas to Australia, where I led a startup as a lead or the lead developer for a solar tech startup. But then that's when I joined my first blockchain protocol, Evolution OS, which was built on top of the EOS platform. And that was in 2017. That's when I learned about blockchain, as I wanted to create a system similar to PayPal. I did some research and found out, hey, that this blockchain thing existed. And then I tried to find how I could take part. And then I found Evolution OS, and that's when I joined. And yeah, I left Australia, then went to Singapore, started a startup, which was on top of another blockchain solution called Pay Later, which was invoice financing solution. And that's where I built my first blockchain system on top of Cosmos SDK, which is what Archway is built on top of right now. And after that, I then joined SwiftChain, which was one of the first decentralized exchanges built on top of the Cosmos SDK solution or within the Cosmos ecosystem. And now I'm at Fire Labs, which we're building out this incentivized smart contract solution on top of the Archway protocol. So let's look at the current landscape within the Web3 ecosystem. So there's a protocol, there's a thesis called the FAT protocol thesis. Essentially, what it's saying is that most of the value from all these protocols, or most of the value within Web3 is retained within these protocols. So for example, we know Ethereum. Ethereum has a smart contract layer, and they came up with that concept where you can build smart contract decentralized applications on top of the blockchain. But in essence, building your app on top of the Ethereum protocol didn't allow a lot of these dApps to earn any revenue at all. And we saw where the dApps were really struggling to earn and to stay afloat. And the reason why we saw a lot of dApps creating their own tokens, and these tokens didn't really have much value. And most of them were pump and dumps, as you might know. So the main value for a lot of these tokens were really being governance tokens, which didn't mean much. So yeah, so we saw where a lot of these large protocols, they're dependent on dApps building on top of their protocol so they can get more users in, which these users will execute more transactions, but then the dApps weren't really earning anything at all. So to stay afloat, it was a bit difficult for them. And that protocol thesis, even though it's not really fully complete, because there's a complete data layer to this, where the validators they have to be incentivized to keep signing transactions, storing data so you can access and stuff like that. And I realized that from the data layer, we can see where value is accrued, and whoever controls that data layer usually accrue the most value. So I can understand why the protocols themselves, the L1s, they accrue a lot of the value from the blockchain, as opposed to the dApps. And we can see this in the Web2, the value capture model. So if you look at it, Google, Facebook, all these applications are built on top of various protocols, for example, TCP/IP, HTTP, SMTP, and a lot of other protocols that they utilize in order to build out their solutions. But in essence, Google, Amazon, they store all the data. They farm your data, they can sell your data, they can do a lot with your data, but also they utilize that data to upsell, for example, cross-sell. And because of that, they make a lot, they earn a lot more from the value that is captured within the system. And that is what I think Archway is trying to do. So one main solution that we see is that a lot of dApps see that, hey, there's a lot of value from the L1 standpoint, because once you have an L1, there's a lot of utility for the L1 token, because you need to use it to pay transaction fees. You need to use it for maybe governance and a lot more stuff. So there's value there, and you can accrue value and build out your solutions. But just imagine building a small game like a tic-tac-toe application, and you have to build out your entire app chain, which is a blockchain. And then you need to build out a community. You need to get validators to secure and keep the network afloat. There's just too much work required in order to have your own app chain to run your app. So it could be a small app, could be a large app. For example, the app that I built for Pay Later was an invoice financing platform. This was a relatively large application. It took me a while to build it out. And it's possible that it would have been a viable solution if I didn't try to get funding within that bear market in 2022. But it's also, to me, makes a lot more sense for such a solution to be built on top of a smart contract chain as opposed to trying to build up my own app chain, because the cost, even though sovereignty, scalability, and then the token being the utility of the token being um, higher than what you might get from another DApp building out their own token, the costs and the downsides are just too much. So it makes sense to have a more streamlined solution to build your dApps on top of. And this is where we created the Archway value capture engine. And you see why we call it the value capture engine now. So Archway is built on top of the Cosmos SDK. And based on all those modules, we are instantly integrated within the Cosmos ecosystem. So IBC, the interchain blockchain communication protocol, allows any chain built on top of Cosmos to integrate or communicate with other chains. So we can communicate with, I think, at this point, more than 30 chains within the Cosmos ecosystem. So it allows you to build apps that can go beyond just the Archway system or the Archway protocol. So there are various L1s that are doing some unique stuff. But yeah, if you want to interact, if you want to capture value from those other chains, it's easy to interact with via IBC. So we've created this smart contract layer using Cosmosm, which is built using Rust, for developers to write their smart contracts that there would be the backend solution for their dApps. And at the core of our protocol is the rewards module, which allows our developers to really capture the value that they create. So we believe that developers are the life force of a network, because building out without dApps, you can't attract users, and without users, then there won't be any transactions. So we believe that the core component of any chain, or especially smart contract chains, is having a lot of developers building out a lot of dApps. And that's why we feel like, hey, we need to create a way that incentivize developers to really build out solutions, whether it be very simple solution or complex solutions, doesn't matter. We want to incentivize developers to continue to build out, to earn, to scale, and to grow their own communities, which will in turn grow the community around the Archway ecosystem. So for developers, instantly has once you've deployed your contract, you can tap into these incentivized solutions. So the number one solution is gas rebates. So all transactions executed on your smart contracts, you earn 50% of those fees, and the other 50% of the fees initially were sent to validators. And before we created the solution, 100% of those fees would go to validators. But now, based on our system, 50% of those fees goes directly to the dApps. 50% is burned. So that creates a deflationary system as well, which increases the value of the token over time as well. So we believe that's a very unique feature to Archway. So that's the gas fee rebates. We took it a step further. 100% of, so for each block created within the chain, inflation is created. So I think currently the APR or the inflation rate is about 10%. But APR is different based on the amount of delegators or stakers within the system. But 100% of that inflation would go to validators/delegators. So because we see the value of developers within this ecosystem, we say, hey, we feel like developers should get a cut of this. So currently, and all of this is configurable via governance. But the current configuration is that 25% of all inflationary rewards goes to DApp developers, while 75% also goes to validators, delegators. I believe that's a fair split. But as I said, this can be configured via governance, so this can change over time. And then there's the smart contract premium. So as a DApp developer, you can set an extra premium, uh, which will be added to the transaction fee, to your contract. And there's no limit to what you can set, but yeah, it has to be a practical amount, because users won't want to utilize dApps that the transaction fee is extremely high. But yeah, this gives the developers full control as to what they want to add to the transaction fees, and 100% of these fees goes to the dApp developer. So in essence, as you launch your dApp, you start earning. And I would believe that's a very powerful thing, because I've started like 6 different companies, or 7 different startups over my lifetime so far. And one of the number one issues is always raising capital or always generating revenue. And that's very difficult to do as a startup. So we believe if we can create an ecosystem where at the onset, after deploying your dApp, you start earning once you're bringing value, and this value comes with users utilizing your application, executing transactions, you are able to start earning from that. And I think that is very, very, very powerful. So how does this reward management process work? So as a dApp developer, you create your application, test it out locally, test it out within our testnet. When you're ready to go mainnet, you deploy the contract, you instantiate that contract, you execute a command to set the contract metadata, which sets the address, the reward address. So all fees will go to this reward address. It can be another contract, it can be a multi-sig, whatever. So as soon as a transaction is executed on your contract and a reward is calculated, that reward is sent. Well, it's not really sent directly. We're making an adjustment to allow you to have that reward sent directly to the reward address immediately. But currently, with the current implementation, you have to execute a withdrawal request. But you can track your rewards, see how much tokens you're making, and then you can execute a withdrawal request, and you're free to do whatever you want. There's no lockup period. There's no restriction as to what you can or can't do. So it's all up to it's left up to the developer and the team to decide. But it's just good to know that, hey, the rewards management process is very simple. And we think it's very streamlined, and we're going to be making some modifications to allow for even removing the withdrawal components. You can have your reward sent to your reward address immediately. So from a developer standpoint, we are working on a lot of different tooling to allow for easier development of your applications. So currently we have the Archway Developer CLI. This is an NPM package that allows you to easily build out, deploy, interact with your smart contracts. And I think it's a very, very useful tool. Without it, you'd have to use the Archway daemon, which is a lot more complex. So it's like creating an abstract layer on top, a very easy to use solution on top of the protocol solution, the daemon that you'd use, you need to interact with in order to execute or interact with your contracts. And we've also created the Arch3.js JavaScript framework to allow for front end, and it can be used for back end solutions as well, for server side solutions, to interact with your smart contracts. And it makes it a lot easier to do the common tasks within your contracts. So we're also working a lot more tooling solutions. But currently, these are the main tools that developers will utilize to build out and manage and interact with their smart contracts. Um, when it comes to educational resources, we believe we have one of the most extensive documentation platforms out there, giving developers, beginners to advanced users or devs. The tools are the material, the content needed to get them up to speed quickly. Um, One thing I hope we can get going within this year is like having solutions or resources that allows for migrating from other chains. For example, if you used to building on Solidity, migrating those solutions to Rust and Cosmos, because Cosmos in itself is a framework it's built on top of Rust, but there are some core creates packages that you need to utilize in order to build out your solutions. So those are things we're working on as well. And we do have an interactive coding platform called Era 52. I think we'll be expanding hopefully soon with some video tutorial components as well. But this allows developers to get involved in Cosmos and Rust development quickly, smart contract development quickly, with a very easy to use interactive platform. So it's code as you go, and I think it's very useful. And we have a number of additional resources. For example, Archway Connect. I think that's one of the tools a lot of users and devs will utilize as a GUI application to allow them to interact with the Cosmos space. And it also has that ecosystem component to it where you can see the various dApps already built on top of the Archway ecosystem, which show here. We have a large number of, well, maybe not a large number yet, but we have a number of dApps. I think we have over 80 dApps within all the various categories. And they cover a wide array of solutions. So you're in a DeFi space, NFTs, various bridges, explorers, and wallets. So yeah, so that's the core of the presentation. Hopefully it was helpful. I'll open the floor to any questions.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for such an enlightening and inspiring session. Your journey and expertise in the blockchain and DApp development have left us all inspired and eager to explore more in this dynamic field. Now, we'll all move to our Q&A session. This is your chance to ask Adrian any questions about Archway. And remember, to qualify for the raffle draw, you have to, number one, share the announcement post by DevCon Davao in your Facebook account, and number two, engage in this session. So let's have our first question. I believe Arthur Aguliana got first. Ask away. Also, feel
Hello.
free to open your mics for the questions. Oh, yes, go.
Yep. Hello everyone. Good evening,
kayo.
and Adrian, thank you so much for sharing about Archway. So my question is about the percentage that the developers will be getting. Suppose there are no developers, or there is less developers staking into the, what you call this one, as validators. Like in the future, if validators will vote that the percentage for developers will be slashed off, I mean, all would that be possible? Like, is there a way that, or a chance that in the future the validators will vote that developers will not be getting any inflation percentage in um percentage in the inflation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're asking, and that's a good question. So, as I said, the all the so uh for each type, let me go back. For each reward, it's configurable from the protocol layer. So via governance, so you can change anything to any value, and there's no minimum. So as you said, it's possible for someone to create a proposal saying, "Hey, let's set the DAP inflation to 0 and the validator section, validator delegator to 100." But I don't think the community would do that, mainly because the value capture component is one of the core components of Archway, and a lot of developers really are building because of that. And it will be short-sighted for the community to say, "Hey, let's get rid of this," because we think that the app developers are getting too much. I think most the community. I think based on my last check, the community was asking for this to be even higher in terms of app developers earning more. But I don't think that might happen. But anything is possible. But based on the current vision for Archway, I don't think that we'll see a case where the community would vote to remove the inflation component for app developers, because that's a core component, and we will always want new dApps being built. We want the current dApps to continue building out, improving, and expanding. So, yeah, it's a possibility, but I'm hopeful, and I believe that it won't happen.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, let's have more questions. Let's have Rubes for the next question.
Oh, you're on mute.
Sir Adrian, hi, GM. I would
Hi.
like to ask regarding, since majority of the attendee here are Web2 developers and somehow not too familiar yet with blockchain. So I want to ask about, just want you to have a brief description about the infrastructure level on what's the relationship between blockchain and validator, so that the attendees will be able to establish where the incentives really coming from for the developers to get onboarded. Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, so Archway is built on a proof of stake blockchain. So with proof of stake, there's no mining, similar to what you'd see on Bitcoin. So we don't need miners. What we have are validators, and these validators, essentially, they secure the network through staking. So the validators can stake, delegators can stake. So this is staking your tokens as a means of securing the network, meaning the tokens that you have are put at risk when you stake. So if there's any malicious intent from validators or any, they might get slashed, or they might get what is it called? So you can get slashed. There is one other thing where you will lose. You won't be able to sign any blocks any at all. Or I don't remember the term. But in essence, similar to miners, where miners get to add new transactions to the blockchain, the same role is done via validators. But miners do this through what is called they have to try to figure out this puzzle, and the first one to do it gets to create the block, and they earn the rewards. For miners, it's at least within the proof of stake ecosystem setting, especially with what Archway is built on top of. Validators, based on the amount of stake, It's supposed to be random, but those validators with the most stake usually get um, to create the next block. So I think there's a random component to it, but if you check the block explorers, you usually see a lot of the validators high up in the list as creating most of the blocks. But in essence, validators are there to add new blocks to the blockchain and also to secure the network. If they're the tokens that are staked are a measure to prevent validators and delegators from voting on erroneous or bad proposals, and also from trying to mess with the network in a sense. So if you try to double sign, if you try to rewrite blocks or anything like that, the validators will be penalized. But the whole blockchain ecosystem is built on this decentralized solution or distributed system where no one individual or entity really controls the chain. Anyone can be a validator. It doesn't matter what kind of server you're running. Once you are able to spin up a node, submit the transaction to become a validator, anyone can be a validator. For Archway, only the top 100 block validators can contribute to consensus. So all the other validators, and this is determined by the number of tokens you have staked to your validator. So yeah, it's a unique. So I usually see validators as a data store as well as a means of really adding new transactions to the blockchain. So hopefully that answered your question. Or you're on mute again.
So these validators are spread across the globe, as making it decentralized.
Yeah. So when you said decentralization is multifaceted. So you have the network in itself being a distributed network, or the application, how it's built in a distributed nature, makes the network in itself decentralized. But if it happens where the other component of decentralization is in the governance or control. So if majority of the network nodes, for example, or the tokens that are staked on the network are owned by one individual or a small amount of individuals, then in essence you could say that's not as decentralized, even though the network itself is decentralized, being it that there's no one central point of failure. But if the control component is centralized, then most persons will say it's not a decentralized system, or it's not a decentralized blockchain. So it's a multifaceted. When you use the word decentralized, it doesn't point to just one thing. So it speaks to both the network itself, and which is a distributed system, and it also speaks to governance and ownership. So yeah, most of the validators are spread. A validator did a report showing that I think the validators are spread all around the globe right now. We do have a lot of validators hosting their nodes in a particular area, which makes, you could say from a decentralized standpoint, it's not that decentralized. That particular country was to have any error or issues in terms of maybe war or anything else, we might see a lot of validators dropping off. But still, based on how the network is decentralized, other validators from other areas will pick up the slack. So that's one good thing about the whole decentralized ecosystem within the blockchain space. So even if the network nodes are centralized in a particular area, anything was to happen, the other nodes within the other areas would still pick up the slack.
Okay, got it. Thank you for that.
All right, looks like we have another question from Arthur. Ask away.
Yep. Thank you so much, Arnold. Adrian, this is for the developers present here. Maybe they would be asking what are the basic skill set before they can say that they're confident in participating or creating um, decentralized apps in Archway. So yeah, before they get involved in learning about Web3. So I think most of the developers here are basically Web2 developers. So yeah, maybe what you can list what are the things that they need to prepare for themselves before they engage in the Archway.
Okay, great question. So Archway, the smart contract component of Archway, which is what you would build your dApps on, is built on top of Rust. So the smart contracts are written in Rust. So Rust is a very not that new, but it's a very powerful language, a very and it's a very unique language. So if you're coming from C, C++, Java, Python, there are some components of Rust that you might need to wrap your heads around. In terms of like there is no concept of like when you're searching for like if you're saying if null, there's no null concept in Rust. You would they use something called there's an options component where you check for none, for example. So there are a few things, and we're trying to build out some video courses to really get developers abreast of the basic components of Rust that are needed to build out the most basic and even more complex applications. So you don't really need to know the full integral complex stuff within Rust, but there are some components that you definitely need to understand in order to build out contracts. And we have some templates. So with the Archway Developer CLI, it comes with some templates that makes it a lot easier for you to start. But once you understand Rust or the basic of Rust, then you just need to understand the CosmWasm modules, that is the standard, the SDD library, and a few other libraries. And then I think that you're really set to go. And that's from the backend side. So building out the contract, deploying the contract. It's like, so if you've ever built, so you guys are from Web2, so not even, so you've never worked on like Ethereum with Solidity. But yeah, essentially Rust is like if you're building a Web2 application like PHP. PHP works on the server side, so Rust works on the server side. So I would consider a smart contract like a server side application that's built on top of this particular language, which is Rust, with the framework being CosmWasm. On the front end side, the core thing really is JavaScript. We have the Archway.js library that is built on top of Cosm.js, which is another tool built by the creators of the Rust, the CosmWasm platform. But yeah, all you need to know really to build on top of Archway is Rust and JavaScript. Give me a second. I need to plug in my laptop that needs charging. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Well, hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for the engagement so far. So yeah, let's keep the ball rolling. Let's have more questions coming our way. All right, I think Juris, go first. Okay, ask away, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Sir Arnel. So, hello, Adrian. Um, may we know what are your plans for this year, 2024?
All right. So you're asking, so my plans or in general for Archway?
In general for Archway.
All right. So the Archway team, we're working on a number of modules. I'm trying to see if I can find the list. We're working on a number of modules to make it a lot easier for developers to really utilize the protocol. So one such module is a fee grants module. So fee grants. So one thing we realized, and this was so when we launched the Archway blockchain July of last year, and one big issue for one of the applications built on top of Archway that launched with us was Astrovault. It's a decentralized exchange. They were having an issue where developers, not developers, users weren't able to access the Archway token to initiate their initial transaction on the DEX. So what the fee grant module does, it allows you as a dApp developer to implement a solution to pay the first, or you can pay all transaction fees for all of your users if you wish. So for example, you could, if you could tie in the rewards earned from the interaction with your contract to that fee grants module to then pay the fees for certain users. So for Astrovault, what they did was they used a version of this to pay the first transaction fee for each user that came onto the platform. So you as a user, when you interact, so you have to use a wallet, and the number one web wallet. So we have Kepler and Leap Wallet. Those are the two main wallets right now, and Cosmos Station. So within for example, when you're interacting with the Astrovault decentralized exchange, the DEX, when you see the confirmation from Kepler for your first transaction, it would show that, hey, it wouldn't require your account to really have any funds. So you as the grantee, so the grantor would be the Astrovault contract, the grantee would be your account. And because that one transaction limit is there, the Astrovault application would pay your first transaction fee on your behalf. So for example, if you wanted to get more, or you wanted to get some Arch tokens from the Astrovault platform with that first transaction, you could. So that's one of the modules that we're looking to release. We're also looking to we're looking to release a registry module, so contract developers can, so within Ethereum, for example, you can upload the structure, what you call it, ABCI, not ABCI, ABI, I don't remember the name of it, a structure for your contract, so developers can then look at that structure and know how to interact with your contract. So we're creating something similar with a registry module. So you register your contract, you can put together the skeleton or structure of that contract to share with developers or developer community who want to interact or utilize your contract. Another thing with our current rewards module is that for each, so we're trying to make everything interoperable. So we want you can sell or make your contract be a component-based contract solution, so it can be plugged into another contract. So for example, if I am building a game and I want an ACL component, or I want to, so we have a solution that we've integrated to allow for easy payments, converting credit card to Arch using Cardo. If you wanted to create a similar solution like that and allow process to integrate, then So we want to create a more component-based system where everything is interoperable. And when somebody integrates your contract into their contract, you also earn. So the transaction fees, they have to configure the system, their fees in a way where you also earn down the line. And if your contract integrates another contract, it goes down and down and down. So we're trying to make this system extensible, component driven, where like you can build out contracts that other developers can just start integrating with their systems, with their platform, and you're also earning. um so yeah, there's one other main solution module that we're working on. I was trying to find the release notes for that. Well, I'm not seeing it here, but in essence, if you wanted to uh what's it called, there's an IBC hooks. Yeah, but another thing, we're trying to integrate with a lot of dApps that we believe will be useful for the wider developer community. So one such dApp is Reclaim, where they're using ZK proofs in order to prevent. So users might have privacy issues when they're interacting with blockchain. So if I need to prove that, hey, I am a citizen of the US, for example, or any other country, and I need to show that I have my social security number or anything, I don't want to be sharing that with a decentralized application. But with this Reclaim platform, with the integration that will happen within Archway, for example, we can utilize those proofs, so zero knowledge proofs, to confirm that you hold this, so that you're the owner of this passport, social security number, or whatever is needed. It can be used for KYC as well. So I think, and I've seen examples of users who are planning to, if you got KYC on Binance or another popular exchange, you can then use the ZK proofs through the Reclaim platform via Archway to KYC your customers if needs be. So yeah, we're trying to build out a lot of tooling, integrate a lot of solutions that we think will be useful for developers, and that will be useful for the end users as well.
Thanks, Adrian.
Let's have more questions, guys. Okay, Sir Churchill, I think you raised your hand. Ask away.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Uh, Hello, Adrian. By the way, good evening. Good evening to all. My question is all about to the Web2 developers. So, are there any training resources for the Web2 developers to kickstart their learning about the Web3 in general and on an onboarding process?
All right, so I shared a link in the chat. I'll share it again, so it's the latest. So our docs, there's a developer section for docs, and it walks you through the various areas. So getting started, what is needed in terms of getting your installation environment set up. So there are various dependencies, Rust-C, that's the Rust compiler, Cargo, that's used to compile Rust applications. Cargo Generate is used to build, to utilize templates. That's how we create various Rust Cosmos smart contract templates to be utilized. So the documentation here under this developer section, I think is very useful. It goes into detail as to all that is needed to get started. So you can also so it's showing that you can use Docker as well. So you can get your dev environment set up. Once you have your dev environment set up, then you get your the IDE setup. I use Visual Studio Code, and there are a few plugins that we recommend here within the docs that you have installed. So, for example, Rust Analyzer, which helps with the code completion, error handling, and error checking for Rust. And I think this code LLB debugger. It's a debugger that allows you to debug your Rust code. But yeah, there I think this this Cosm was in a VS Code plugin. I think it was created by one of our protocol developers as well. So once you go through this getting started section, do the installation, set up your IDE, and then it walks you through this setup section, walks you through your project setup. Oh, was I not sharing? I thought I was sharing. I thought I was sharing my. Let me start and then reshare. Let me share. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going through the different areas. So this is so you will see here, build it up. So this build it up section is for developers, participate is for general community, running a node is for validators, and general resources covers some basic general resources. So once you go to this build it up section, over on the left here, you see the getting started section goes through what all the things that you need to install to get up and running. So you need Node.js and npm because for the developer, the Archway developer CLI is dependent on npm, and you need all these other stuff. The Rusty, that's the compiler. Cargo is a package manager, and Cargo generate, as said, is used for creating templates and building from templates. And Docker, you can put everything in Docker, or you can just run from your machine directly. But Archway Developer CLI is the #1 tool, the recommended tool for interacting, deploying, building, compiling, whatever for Archway. And Archway D, this is a core tool that is used. So you download this from the Archway protocol repository, and then you'll compile and build, and so everything that you can do with Archway Developer CLI, you can do with Archway D. It's just that it's a bit more complex. You need to know a lot more in order to execute here. But I was saying, once you have everything installed, you simply need to configure your IDE of choice. Visual Studio Code is one of the more popular ones, and I said there are a few tools that you can utilize: Rust Analyzer, debugger, and a few others. And once you have your IDE set up, then you can go about creating your first project. And before creating a project, the first thing you need to have at least is one account. Once you create an account, this account is what you'll use to interact with the Archway blockchain. And we have our testnet and mainnet. So for all testing purposes, development, testing out the application, you do all that on testnet, because the const token that is used on testnet, you don't need to pay for. We have a faucet that you can you can request const tokens from the Constantine network, or you can reach out to me on Discord or someone from the team on Discord, and we can send you some testnet tokens, and you can execute your transactions and stuff. But once you're ready to go to mainnet, that's where you need to get your Arch tokens, which you need to maybe get from an exchange or somewhere. But once you have an account set up, then you can start um, executing transactions on chain, whether it be on the testnet or on mainnet. And yeah, using Archway developer CLI, it's very simple, creating a basic project. Once you have an account set up, which you'll get your Archway address. This is the address that for each account that is created, you'll get this address. You get an address. You'll get your private key, which you should never share your private key, not private key, a mnemonic phrase. So it will be a 24 word or 24 words mnemonic phrase that you need to store. That's what you would need to import into Kepler, for example, for you to start using your account in the web wallet. So yeah, once you've created your project, configured your project. So these docs walk you through step by step. We had some problems with persons understanding how gas and fees work within Archway, and I wrote this guide explaining in detail how gas works. We have how the gas limits work, the gas price works. Within Archway, we've implemented something called minimum consensus fee. So there's a minimum gas price that you cannot go below. So you would need to query this endpoint, for example, to get the minimum gas price in order if you want to come to get the correct gas amount. So this document like walks you through a fee calculation and everything. So once you go through these guides, and then we have the Cosmosm documentation, which goes deep into Cosmosm itself, smart contract development. And then we have some tests, some basic guides. So for your first DApp, you would go through here, and it walks you through creating your first DApp using one of our templates. I think that template is let me see, it's the increment templates. So essentially what this contract does, it starts at a value. So if you don't set a value, it starts at 0. And each time you call the increment function within the contract, it increments the value by 1. So it's a very basic contract. So this is the first contract that this guide walks you through how you set up from nothing to building out even a front end that you can interact with and see how you can click a button to execute the function within the contract to increment the counter. We also have an NFT project where you can create a basic NFT project. And NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. So I think you might have heard of these picture NFTs and all. So this is something that you could build from. You could build a similar solution from this basic guide. So you create an NFT collection from the template. You deploy the contract on chain, and it shows you how you go about minting the NFT, sending token from one account to another, and then building out an NFT front end so you can actually see what's going on.
Wow, that's great. Thanks, Adrian.
You're welcome.
Now let's have a question from NJ.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Adrian. I would like to ask if Archway is planning to do hackathons to onboard local developers.
Hi. Yes, we are. So last year we ran, I think, 2 hackathons. We are planning on having hackathons this year, but I can't give any date or timeline. But I'm sure we'll be partnering with some external teams to get these hackathons going. But yeah, that's a very useful tool, and I think we got a number of dApps that we have right now on mainnet came through our hackathon. So I think it's a very useful tool. So we'll definitely have those. I think we might decide to do them in stages. So we might have hackathons focusing on particular solutions, or migrating that, or creating certain type of dApps, or based on the level developers are at. So for a lot of you guys who are just coming in, so you're at the entry level or the beginners level for Web3, we might create hackathons that are focused on just you guys. So yeah, I think we're going to be planning out a lot of different hackathons this year. Hopefully they'll be useful to the community.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Adrian, and looking forward to those hackathons. Now let's have Chris Rice for some questions.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? My internet's kind of getting fixed a bit.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
My mic. Okay. Hi. Hi, Adrian. I'm somewhat new to Archway. I first heard about Archway at the DDC event. It's the first Archway event in the Philippines, as far as I know. And then shortly after that, coincidentally, I also met another developer on Discord who built a project on Archway. And what I'm wondering is, what is Archway's plan for Web3 based social media? And if Adrian has worked on EOS before, I'm wondering if he's familiar with any of the social media based blockchains inspired by Dan Larimer, such as Steam or Hive. Because my main interest is in Web3 based social media. So is that something that's compatible with Archway, and you guys have any plans for that?
Yeah, so I've used Steam back in the day when I was fully into EOS, and it's good that you said that, because I brought this up to, so we have a developer Telegram group. It's called Archway Builders Group. So I think I'll share the link to get to join that group as well in the chat. So someone is building a team is building a social platform. They have the current structure. I think it's working right now. I think having a social solution built on top of Archway is very useful, especially because of our economic model. So every time someone interacts with your contract, you're definitely earning there. So yeah, the ecosystem is, I think it's conducive to such a solution, and I recommend it to the team that, hey, Steemit did a very good job in building out that social platform. I think they should try to take some notes from that as well. So yeah, they're only have, I think, only one team I know right now that's building out or trying to build out a social community platform on top of Archway. So you're welcome to jump in and build out a solution exactly like Steemit, because I think that's really needed right now within the space. And with Steemit had its own token as well. So you can do that, the exact same thing. So with Archway, you can create your own tokens. There's no restriction on that, and those tokens can be easily transferred via IBC to various networks within the Cosmos ecosystem as well. So yeah, I think having a social media solution would be very, very useful. I think something that, because we do have a grant program as well. I think our third cohort is going to be selected in early February. So yeah, that's something that if you guys have any ideas, if you're a prototype, if you're working on something and you feel like, hey, you'd want to build this out on Archway and it's unique, no other team is working on this, definitely the team will consider your submission.
Thank you. Yes, because I'm very interested, because not only was Steam inspired or built from Dan Larimer, but there was actually a fork of Steam that became more successful than Steam, and that's Hive. So we originally started building on Steam in 2020, the first microblogging platform that eventually launched on Hive. And we have an existing user base. The product is more or less bug free. And we're working to integrate, other blockchains through Ceramic Network using decentralized IDs. And we're close to releasing a MetaMask integration. And then after that, we're looking forward to integrating with other blockchains. And after going to the Archway event by DDC here in the Philippines, I'm interested in finding out what type of collaboration Hive through DBuzz could have with Archway.
Okay, I've never used Hive before, but if it's similar to Steam, then I should be familiar with it. And we do have a name, what do you call it? A name service, or you said something about app ID or ID service solution. We do have this Arch ID platform that's built on Archway. So it's a social security number. So it's like a means of creating unique identities. So I think you could then tap into, because I know that these guys, they've just built out a game where you need to use your identity created on top of Arch ID in order to interact with the game. So you could do the same thing, tie it into the social media solution as well. But yeah, I like the idea. I think it will be very useful solution that we definitely want built out on top of Archway.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for your engagement. Now for our last question, let's cater to Ma'am Mary Ann Polima. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and good evening to Sir Adrian. My question is actually it's related a while ago with the Web3 developer. So my question now is, our Web3 developer has the competitive salary compared to Web2 developer?
I would say yes, based on my experience. I think one main reason why it's a bit competitive in terms of the salary package for Web3 developers, because you don't have that many Web3 developers. So you're picking from a small pool, and because you're picking from that small pool, usually you have to bump up the price. So yeah, once you're competent enough and you understand the technology stack, and you have the experience, it can only go up. But I think that I think a lot of developers are moving from Web 2 to Web 3, not just because I think one, because of the technology. A lot of developers see that, hey, this might be the future. I don't think Web 2 is going anywhere for now, but yeah, there is definitely a space for Web 3, and it's growing. And then there's just a small number of devs within the space, so it makes you more marketable if you have the knowledge set, if you have the skill set, and then you can negotiate based on that. I think it's only going to get better for developers within the Web3 space. But yeah, I think the market is really good for Web3 developers. It's just that, because especially right now, because the pool is so small. But yeah, I would recommend Web2 developers really try to jump in. So there are a few. So you have the Ethereum EVM, so that's based on Solidity. Then you have Solana, Polkadot, Cosmos, which is based on Rust. Then you have like the EOS is based on C++. But yeah, you can select from the top solutions or protocols or group of protocols. I think Rust might be, because a lot of new chains are building on Rust, so it might be good. And yeah, so that's definitely Archway. So if you want to be more marketable, I think Rust is definitely a solution to start out with. It might be a bit difficult initially to wrap your head around Rust, but yeah, once you understand it, it's smooth sailing.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, we had an incredible, engaging talk in this session. Thank you so much, Adrian, for such an enlightening, inspiring session. Our deepest gratitude goes to you for sharing your vast knowledge and experience with us. Your discussion on Archway has broadened our understanding of the potential and challenges in the blockchain space. But before we conclude this session, let's now go to our raffle draw. Let's now give the mic to Davao DeFi. Take it away.
Hello, guys. We have some giveaways. I will just share my screen first. You see in the screen, guys?
Not yet on my end.
How about this?
Not yet, sir.
This one? Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, I will just share my entire screen. So, how about this one? It's okay now?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's good. So, there are, I think, more than 20 of participants should be able to grab the freebies for now. So, can I turn the spin now, Miss MJ?
Yes, go.
Okay, for the first spin of the night. Oh,
Congrats.
congrats, Ma'am Marisa Okoy, for the first one. Do we need to draw another one, Miss MJ?
Yes, we need 5 winners.
Wow, five. Okay. And so another one. Where's this guy?
Congrats, Sir Churchill.
Congrats, Sir Churchill. Another one. Oh, Sir Juris
Congratulations, Sir
Tolosa.
Churchill.
Okay. How many more to go? Two? Two more? I think.
Yes, 2 more.
Okay. Last two. Oh, congrats, Sir Vincent. Congrats.
Congratulations.
And the last one goes to oh, Sir Richard. Thanks, guys, and I hope everybody is watching now. Congrats, congrats.
Amazing.
Go ahead, Sir Adel.
Congratulations to all the winners, guys. You all deserve it. Now, as we conclude the 8th edition of Tech Kwentuhan by DevCon Davao, I want to thank each and every one of you, especially to our friends over at Davao DeFi, for their active participation. Your presence has made this event a huge success. We hope you find this session insightful and that it has inspired you to explore the vast world of technology with a new perspective. We eagerly anticipate our next Tech Kwentuhan session. Join us again next week, same time, same place, for more exciting discussions and groundbreaking insights into the world of technology. Also, keep an eye out on our social media channels and website for future updates on future events. If you guys want a certificate of participation, kindly email this email right here for the request of your certificate. Also, follow the DevCon Davao page for more news on the DevCon Mindanao Summit 2024 in collaboration with 3 Mindanao chapters, Davao, CDO, and Iligan. Registration is now open. Now, before we conclude our event here, let us now open our cameras for the documentation. Let's wait for the others to open their cameras. Okay, let me get the screenshot right here. Okay, sorry guys, my mic got broke. Okay, so that's it for tonight's session. Keep nurturing your passion for technology and innovation. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Once again, big thank you for Sir Adrian Thompson. Goodbye everyone, and see you next week. Thank you.